Good evening. This is Brother T from the Led by the Lord channel, coming to you this evening. I've been thinking lately as I read the book of Esther about most of us, or all of us, have had an Esther, Queen Esther figure in our lives. So today I just want to speak on that subject of a Queen Esther in our lives. Who is the Queen Esther in your life? I want to talk about a woman that had the courage to save her people. Courage. People believe in themselves when they have courage. They know who they are and what they stand for. They have strong values, recognize their personal capabilities, and are confident in meeting the challenges that lie before them. They are passionate and purposeful. Makes me think of all the courageous single moms in the world today. Those who go it alone without a partner to raise their children. And the moms with partners or husbands. When I think of my mom raising a family of 10 children, her going to work. I remember her getting up in the morning and working in the clothing factory, going to work every day and having the weekends off. Her canning vegetables from the garden, getting out the big crock pot and putting away string beans and other vegetables from our garden. Her hanging the clothing on the line. I can remember her hanging the clothes on the line, and I can remember the washing machine that we had. It was the type of washing machine that had the rollers on it, that you had to be careful that you didn't catch your fingers into the rollers, which the rollers would take the water out of the clothing once you would take it out of the washing machine. And the washing machines were round tubs. And I remember her in the wintertime going out hanging clothes on the clothesline. And the clothes would freeze, just get stiff before she could even get in the house. That's how cold it was outside. And your sheets and your clothing would be like cardboard on the clothesline. They would be so stiff. And these are the things that I can remember. It wasn't easy raising 10 children. And even today, it would be even harder, because back then we did live on a farm, so we got a lot of our vegetables, chickens, and pork from the farm. Courageous is anyone who can overcome adversities. And that's not always easy, to overcome adversities. Some people don't make it through adversities, but when you do come through an adversity, it shows courage. Now, these are all selfless acts by women. Thinking of others before thinking of themselves. Selfless, thinking of others before they think of themselves. We had our courageous women standing up for equal rights. And we can go back in history. Courageous women standing up in the storms of life, standing up for their rights. And back then, women were just considered not being able to vote, not being able to hold certain positions. They were basically just for the men, just actually thought they were just for child rearing in those days, and cooking and preparing and keeping the house and babysitting and things of that nature. Now, Queen Esther acted courageously when she made the decision to gather Shushan's Jews, that she got the Shushan Jews fast and approached the king, which was her husband. She had courage to plan the feast and her timing to make her request to the king. She further had the courage to beg King Ahasuerus to save the Jews after Haman's demise. And we knew who Haman was. We read the book of Esther, we'll know that he is the villain in that book. Queen Esther is a powerful example of how God can give courage to anyone to overcome adversities. God can give any of us courage to overcome our adversities. So I believe that we all know or have had or have now a woman in our lives who is going through adversities with the courage only God can give. So we all, even today, have women in our lives that have gone through or going through adversities now, which only God can get them through. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them. For it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. So God will never leave us, and he will never forsake us. I would often hear my mother say, if the Lord allows me and gives me strength tomorrow, I'm going to do this or that. And some of those things she wanted to do were going to take courage. So my mother would always say, if I live to see tomorrow, if the Lord allows me to see tomorrow, this is what I want to do or I need to do if it be God's will. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So we can do all things through Christ because he is the one that can strengthen us and give us the ability to do things that we need to do. These women lean on the Lord for their courage. They lean on the Lord. They don't lean on their own understandings. They lean on the Lord for their courage. We see many women today, powerful, in powerful positions, judges, mayors, governors, possibly vice presidents, almost president, along with doctors, nurses, police women, firemen, teachers, factory workers, all of the trades, housewives, military, missionary, pastors, preachers, and all aspects of the clergy. Women are doing great things in all aspects of life. And I've even seen them working for the city I've seen them on the collection trucks for recycle, driving tractor trailers, women and school buses. I believe the women are the majority of the school bus drivers. Women do all of whatever men did once and thought only men could do. Women do all of those things now, and they do them well. And let's not forget our really brave and courageous military women. They always had the courage. They just needed to gain the opportunity to fill those positions. They were always courageous. Our great-great-great-grandmothers were courageous. They just didn't get the opportunity to do certain things, but they were courageous women anyway. Esther, chapter 9, verse 26 through 28. So they called these days Purim, after the name pure. Therefore, because of all the words of this letter, what they have seen concerning this matter, and what happened to them, the Jews established and imposed it upon themselves and their descendants, and all who would join them, that without fail they should celebrate these 2 days every year according to the written instructions and according to the prescribed time, that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, that these days of Purim should not fail to be observed among the Jews, and that the memory of them should not perish among their descendants. The courage of this one woman, a part of God's plan, was responsible for establishing this holiday, which today is celebrated on the 14th day of Adar, usually in March or April. So she was the person, Queen Esther was the person that had the courage to make this holiday possible. And it commemorates the day Queen Esther saved the Jewish people from execution by Haman, the advisor to the Persian king. And we know, if we read this story, what happens to Haman. He comes to his demise. What he hoped for Mordecai came to him. So our courageous women in our lives were our queens. The courageous women in our lives were our queens. They may not have a holiday established by them, but what they establish in our hearts live on. So the Queen Esthers in our lives, they may not, and most of us, they don't have a holiday named after them, but they live on in our hearts, and they are just as important to us as any other Queen Esther could be. We can celebrate them in our hearts and minds every time we remember the things they stood up for and how courageous they were. Because our Queen Esthers in our lives were courageous. They had to take bold steps back in the day, and they are still doing it today. We see the courageous women that are in the world today, holding all sorts of positions and doing it well, doing it just as well as the men would be doing it, and doing it with passion and dignity. So let us celebrate all of the Queen Esthers in our lives. Lift them up and just be thankful to God that he gave them courage to be the Queen Esthers that they were and still are in our lives. And this is Brother T from the Led by the Lord channel, asking you again to pray for me, and I will surely pray for you. And you have a blessed evening. Amen.